Yo YouTube, this is my video for Friday the 4th of April, and I don't actually have a job at the moment. I'll stick a map up now of my local area showing why I'm travelling north towards Boston, because there are not really any drivers Sleaford, Boston, Grantham, even up to Lincoln, as far as I can tell. There may be some that are going to come into the area, and all those red drivers might have been delivering and then become green in a moment. But I think this is my best chance of getting to an area where I'm likely to get a job. Now, I've just cleaned the outside of my van. By that I mean I've just been to a car wash and got some very competent guys to do it for me. And now I'm sort of wondering what to do. I didn't get a job yesterday. I bid on quite a few things. I bid, at a fair price, at a price that I'd be willing to do the work for, which I don't think is quite going to be suitable in this climate, in this sort of CX climate. So I need to go a bit lower probably. But when I looked at the jobs this morning, because my feed is such a big area, I keep getting loads of jobs from Nottingham and Northampton and Leicester, and they're okay if they're going a certain distance or certain size van, but most of them, particularly in the morning, I can't do because they're too far away. So right now I'm hoping for a job: Wisbech, Kings Lynn, Spalding, Holbeach, north of Peterborough, Sleaford, Boston, Skegness even. I'll go as far as Lincoln quite easily, and maybe even from where I am, Newark. I'll have to look at how far I am. Grantham certainly. So it's quite a big area there, and there's not that many drivers available. So I'm reasonably hopeful I'll get a job. The time now is 10:15. So I'll give it half an hour or so, and then if nothing does come up here, I might head back home and just basically do work from home. It's touch and go whether I end up having a day of work today or not. I suppose if I don't end up working, you won't hear this video. So that's kind of a irrelevant thing for me to say, really. So yeah, I'll see how it goes. At the moment I don't know how today's going to go. It could be really good still. It's getting a bit late though, and it could be okay, or it could be... I'm going to try and not do a job which takes me too far away and end up getting stuck. I'm going to at least try and avoid that today. So really I'm looking for jobs somewhere like Birmingham, Leeds, Sheffield, Northwest, Bristol even. I do Bristol today, or into the East Midlands, or... yeah. And the last point I'm going to make, last time I was working, last night, sorry, when I was looking at jobs, there was a reasonable number of jobs going to Norfolk. There's two or three jobs going to Norfolk. And I just thought, there's no way I could do that as my first job of the day. I'll just get stuck there. There's lots of drivers there, and I won't get out again. So I had to avoid that. And the second part of that, looking for jobs yesterday, I was kind of not really. I was avoiding jobs going to central London again, because although I sort of don't mind doing it once in a while, I think I don't want to do it every day. I don't do it that many times in a week. I think twice a week is probably enough for me. And it's felt like I've done it twice in the last week, although it's only once last week and once this week. So I think I was avoiding bidding on stuff going to London as well. Not that there was very much, but there were some jobs that I could have perhaps done. So I'll let you know how it goes, and unless of course I'm at home, in which case you won't know this. Cheers. Hello YouTube. So I've just dropped off my load at Holbeach, and I came to the nearest garage, parked up and had a look at jobs. And I've got a job, I'm just not sure how I feel about it at the moment. And I'll tell you what I've got and what my thinking was when I bid on it. So my first bid, there was a Peterborough to Peterborough job, about 1.5 miles. So I put £40 on that, didn't think I'd get it, and that was sort of my safe initial bet. And I was looking at the initial bid, and I was then looking through the other options. And the job came up from Wellingborough to going to a YO postcode, a place called Malton. And I had a quick look on the map, it's quite high up, but YO is sort of Yorkshire, and it's the next county up from where I live. So I thought, oh, if I'm going south and then I'm going north past my house up to Yorkshire, then that's not necessarily too bad if I get the right price for it. Now the job was for a medium wheelbase van. It was going 162.5 miles loaded from Wellingborough, and I was an hour away from Wellingborough, so I didn't think there was much chance I'd get the job. I put a bid of 175 on initially, and then I went into the maps and I was just working out how long would it take me to go down to Wellingborough, back up to Malton, down back to home. And before I got a chance to put all that in, I got a phone call. I was offered the job. And I did explain I was an hour away from Wellingborough, and he said that was fine because the only other quote he had was an hour and 3/4 away. Which I thought was weird because Wellingborough I thought was quite a popular place in terms of drivers being around sort of East Midlands. But maybe it's more to do with where it's going to, the Malton YO postcode. So I'm guessing that he didn't get many bids because of where it's going to on a Friday. So I took the job. I was happy to take it. I'm happy. I've told him I'm going to be an hour and 5 minutes to get to postcode, so he knows that. And so he's happy about the time we get there. I'm happy with the job. The only thing I'm just not sure about is when I get to Malton and offload, am I just going to drive home and that's the end of my day, or am I going to try and find a job? And at the moment my thinking is, if I've made 175 on this job and £50 on my first job, well, the £50 will cover my fuel, so I've made 175 after fuel roughly. And if that's the end of my day, then I think I'm okay with that, considering I was thinking about going home anyway, not doing anything. So I'm kind of thinking it'd be alright, but I'm aware that I'm going to an area I don't know very well, and it's a Friday afternoon, and I might get stuck in traffic on the way up, who knows. And ideally I just want a little job, just a little tiny job, £50, £40 even, taking me somewhere southwards from Malton, and then I'll be happy. And then I'll make about £200 for the day, and I think I'll be happy with that. And I don't want a long day today, I just want to get back as soon as possible, so I'm going to probably just turn and burn from Malton, come back straight down and look for a job on the way down. I'm not going to hang around. Okay, so that's the situation at the moment. I'm guessing I'm going to be at the pickup at 1:30. I'm guessing 162 miles is probably about 3 hours. So 4:30 when I get to Malton maybe, and back home, a couple of hours to get home. So 6:30, 7 o'clock. It's not even going to be a very short day, is it, in the end? Oh dear, well, I've done it now. Okay, speak to you later. I'll let you know about my stats probably later on. Cheers. Time now is 1:45, and I've just picked up the 2 pallets from Wellingborough. I arrived at 1:30, and I'm on my way now to Malton, which is north east of York. It's actually about just less than 3.5 hours drive. It's 161 miles loaded, and I should be arriving at around about 5:10 So with a bit of faff unloading, maybe a bit of delay, I should be on my way home at 5:30. So if I take 12:30 to 5:30, those 5 hours, and the mileage in total to get from where I was, just basically Holbeach, going to Wellingborough and Wellingborough to Malton, the total mileage was 206 miles. So if I was to work out the cost of the mileage and £30 an hour for 5 hours work, then actually the job is worth a bit less than 175, which is what I got for it. So I'm actually, for the job itself, I've got a good price. A price I'm happy with. The only downside to this is that I'm going to end up 2 hours from home, at 5, well, sort of 5:15 on a Friday. So I'm going to have to dead mile it home. But that's not the worst thing in the world. So actually, I'm a bit more pleased with this job, bearing in mind how quiet it was, bearing in mind how far away the pickup was, and I still won the job for a fair price, including the time and the mileage to get to the pickup. That's the key thing. What I haven't managed to do is to get a price that would cover the price for me to get from where I was to the pickup to the job and get home again, but then that's rarely the case. Hello YouTube, it is now 10 to 4 and I've got an hour and a half left of my 3.5 hour journey. So far everything's gone to plan. I've been listening to music, I've been talking to people on WhatsApp, and I've been thinking a lot, which is always what I do. And I thought I would share with you a slightly different thing because I think it's highly relevant to me as a person. It's not at all relevant to same-day courier work. I think it's important because I'm trying to present myself with authenticity, and I think there are aspects to who I am that are worth just pointing out for no other reason than they're true. For no other reason. And the thing I point out is I have got a hobby that doesn't cost me very much and I get a lot of enjoyment from, and it's something that anyone can do for very little cost. I realised it's one of the things that I get a lot of enjoyment from, and that is I really enjoy singing along to rock and pop songs. I don't do it every day, but when I do it, it is a release, it's really nice. And I want to just say that I am not a good singer. I am in fact a very bad singer. And it's not false modesty. I've heard myself recorded and I wouldn't want to hear myself singing. But throughout my life, in times of happiness and stress, I've sung out loud. And sometimes I've been in a household with other people around and they can hear me. And I'm not really worried about it because it's who I am. And in the van now I can do it. I can sing to myself as loud as I like, and it's a nice release. It's a good way, I think, of, if you're not very good at dealing with emotions, singing along to a song is quite a good way of just releasing some emotion. And I'm probably better than most people of my age and gender about expressing my emotions, but just as a way of getting into it, maybe that's one way of being able to express it without having to talk about feelings per se. So, my last point about this is I have no desire and no pretensions about singing publicly. I don't want people to hear me singing. I don't want to be a better singer. I don't want to do what my dad does, which is to go out karaoke singing, and he has a great social life doing that. That's just not me. I'm not doing singing for any reason other than a physical and emotional release, and it's all it is. It's just for me, not for anyone else to consume. But I thought, as I was doing it today, I was just singing along before this, I thought, oh, that is part of who I am, so let me at least share that, because I think that's it's a true thing that's worth putting out there. Hello YouTube, so I've got an hour and a half left to go home. I am looking at work, but there's not really anything to do, so I'm going to assume obviously there's nothing else that can happen. I'll be home about 8:30, so it's just gone just before 7 o'clock now. And these are my stats for the day and for the week. So I filled it with fuel yesterday before I did work today, and my average for the week has gone up to 14.84 pence per mile. I've also got the fuel costs for next week's fuel cards, and they're both pretty much identical and they're both pretty much the same as this week. My total mileage for today is 386 miles, 386. And by the time I've got home, I will have worked for 10 and a half hours. I've earned today from 2 CX jobs £225, 225. And I spent on fuel £57.28. So let's make that £57, and that means that my net income today, after taking into account fuel, is £168.168. So although that second job I did from Wellingborough to Malton was a long way out of my way, it was definitely worth doing, I think. As I said in my previous message, the actual job itself I got paid well for. It's just that I've got, in the end, 2 3/4 hours drive, 130 odd miles drive back empty. But it's nice, it's a nice day, it's still light, so that is fine as far as I'm concerned. So I've also now got the stats for the week that I've just done. And it's based on working 3 days as usual. The total amount of hours that I've worked is 34.5. The total mileage that I've driven this week, door to door, is 1,161 miles, 1161. My gross earnings for the 3 days are £765, 765. And I've spent on fuel this week £165, 165. And that brings my net earnings, therefore, after fuel, to exactly £600. My pence per mile earned over all the miles and all my earnings for the whole week is 51 pence, 0.67. Which is better than it has been in the past. It's not great, but it's still better. And my average amount earned per day this week, after taking into account fuel, is a very round £200 per day. And I'm really pleased with that. I look back at the whole of this year, and this is the second best average earnings I've had since the start of January, and the only other better week was the second week of January, my first week back at work. Between the 6th and 13th of January, I earned an average of £203 per day that week. And the third best is £191, which was done something like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So, second best of the year so far. I'm pleased, and hopefully it will carry on increasing. But next week I should be able to work 3 days again, and I'll be back to work on Monday. I haven't at the moment got anything booked in for Monday morning. So thank you very much for listening to my video. I hope that you are all being successful, however you choose to define that word for yourselves. And I'll see you on Monday. Farewell, friends.